Hi, Mike Stein from the Center for Teaching Excellence. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Zoom for your classes at HCC. First, let's sign into Zoom through Canvas. To do this, let's go to Canvas by going to Tools and Resources, then click on Canvas. Click HCC Students and Faculty, and sign in with your HCC username and password. Then go to the course where you'd like to set up your meeting. In this case, I'll use my Keep Teaching course. On the left side of the screen, click on Zoom. You will now see the Zoom dashboard. To schedule a new meeting, click the Schedule a New Meeting button at the top of the screen. You can give your meeting a title by clicking in the topic field and changing the name if you'd like. Now let's set a time for our meeting. To set a time for a specific meeting, click on the calendar and select the date of your meeting. In this case, I'll select August 25th. Select the time for your meeting by clicking on the time drop-down menu and selecting the time of day. In this case, I'll say 12 o'clock, and we'll make sure that it's 12 p.m. instead of a.m. You can set the duration of your meeting. However, this does not set a time limit for your meeting. If you set your meeting for an hour and it goes over, you won't get kicked out of your meeting. In this case, I'll leave it as an hour. If you're setting up your Zoom meeting so that you can hold classes each week, it may be useful to set up a recurring meeting. Check the recurring meeting box, and you will be able to set the recurrence of your meeting. In this case, let's set the meeting to recur weekly, and let's say my Zoom meetings are going to be on Monday and Wednesday. So I'll uncheck Friday. You can also set the end date either by a date or after a certain number of meetings. In this case, I'll say, let's end our recurrence at the end of the semester, so December 19th. You can now see that I'm setting up a meeting to recur every Monday and Wednesday until December 15th, starting on August 25th. Scroll down a bit more, and you'll see a couple more options for your meeting. A passcode will make your meeting a little more secure. However, it can add another barrier for students trying to get in the meeting, which can cause delays in your class. In most cases, I would suggest that you don't use a passcode, but do turn on a waiting room. A waiting room means that students can join your Zoom meeting. However, you have to admit them into the meeting itself. Before you admit them, they will be stuck in a waiting room until you admit them. Next, you have your video and audio settings. In most cases, you want to leave your video for your host as on, as well as your participant video on. This doesn't mean that students can't turn their video off, but it does encourage them to use their video if it starts on. You should also leave the audio settings as telephone and computer audio to allow students to join either by the telephone or by computer audio. You also have a couple options down at the bottom next to meeting options. Enabling Join Before Host allows students to join the meeting before you arrive. If you have the waiting room, they will be able to join the waiting room but not enter the meeting. Mute participants upon entry will mute the students as soon as they get into the meeting. This can be helpful if students join late so that they don't disrupt the meeting. You can also set the meeting to record automatically in the cloud. So if you know that you want to record your meetings, checking this box will help you so that you don't have to remember to hit the record button when the meeting starts. Once you're satisfied with your settings, click Save. Scroll back up to the top of the screen and click Course Meetings to return to the dashboard. You can now see that meetings have been created for every Monday and Wednesday from August 25th until December 15th. The nice thing about a recurring meeting is that the meeting ID is always the same, so the link will always be the same throughout the semester. Once you have set up your recurring meetings, you can share the meeting with students by clicking on the meeting, right-clicking on the Join URL, and clicking Copy Link Address. This will save the link to your clipboard. From here, you can post it in an announcement or on a Canvas page. Students will also be able to see your meetings in their to-do list on the homepage. Let's take a look at that now. Let's go to the homepage and click Student View to view the student to-do list. You can see that on the right side, each class meeting is on the to-do list. Students can click on this link and will be able to click the link to join the meeting. Let's return to the meeting dashboard. To start a Zoom meeting, under Upcoming Meetings, click the Start button next to the meeting you'd like to start. Because this is a recurring meeting, I can only start the first iteration of the recurring meeting. This will cause a new tab to open, and you will see a message that asks you if you'd like to open Zoom meetings. If you have not already downloaded the Zoom desktop app, you will need to do this first. If you have already installed the Zoom desktop app, click Open Zoom Meetings to open the meeting. Upon entering the meeting, we see a notification that this meeting is being recorded. Click Continue to remove this message. Now let's take a look at some of the Zoom meeting controls. At the bottom left of the screen, you have a mute button that you can use to mute and unmute yourself. You can also turn on or off your video by clicking on the Stop Video button. Next to the Stop Video button, there is an up arrow. Clicking on this up arrow will give you more video options. Notably here, Choose Virtual Background is one of the options on this menu. Once the virtual background window appears, you can choose from the list of options, from blurring the background to selecting another default option. You can also add your own virtual background by clicking on the plus button and adding an image or a video from your computer. Next to the Stop Video button, you have the Security button. The Security button will allow you to control different activities in the meeting. Here, you can enable or disable the waiting room, as well as lock the meeting entirely, which means that no one else will be able to join the meeting. You can also allow your students to be able to share screen or prohibit them from doing so, as well as chat and unmute themselves. Next to the Securities button, you will see the Participants button. Here you can see all of the participants in the meeting. Hovering over a person's name, you will see the Mute button. This can be very useful if you need to mute a participant. You may also choose to mute all of the participants in the meeting by clicking the Mute All button. When you click this button, you will see the Mute All dialog box. Checking Allow Participants to Unmute Themselves will allow students to unmute themselves during the meeting. If you uncheck this box, this means that students will not be able to unmute themselves. Next, we have the Poll button. Zoom polling allows you to ask multiple choice questions to students directly from within Zoom. We'll take a look at this later in this video. Next, we have the Chat button. Clicking on the Chat button, the chat window will pop up on the side, and you can send a message in the chat. Press Enter to send your message. Next, we have the Share Screen button. To share your screen, click the Share Screen button. You will then see a list of options for you to share. The top left, Screen, is almost always the best option because it will share your entire screen. And if you switch between apps, you will continue sharing your screen. If you select an individual app, such as Google Chrome, if you navigate away from that app, the students will not be able to see what you do. They will only be able to see what you're sharing, which is the Chrome app. If you would like to share a video, make sure you check the Share Sound and Optimize for Video Clip buttons at the bottom so that Zoom will play the sound through your computer instead of trying to record it through your speakers. When you're ready to share, click the Share button. You will now see that your meeting controls are at the top of the screen, and everything that you see on your screen will be shared to your participants. You can also annotate on your screen by clicking Annotate and drawing on your screen with your mouse. When you're finished sharing, click Stop Share, and you will return to the Zoom meeting window. Now let's share a whiteboard. To share a whiteboard, click the Share Screen button, then select Whiteboard from the list. Then click Share. You will now have a blank whiteboard that you can draw and annotate on, and it will be shared with your participants. When you're finished, click Stop Share to stop sharing. Now let's take a look at breakout rooms. As a host, you have a Breakout Rooms button at the bottom of your screen. Click this button to open the Breakout Rooms window. From here, you can set up how many breakout rooms you want to create. In this case, I'll set up 4 breakout rooms. You can then choose to assign participants to breakout rooms automatically, manually, or let participants choose the room they want to go into. In this case, I'll set it to assign automatically so that Zoom will automatically assign students to breakout rooms. Then click Create. You can now see that Zoom has automatically assigned my participants to different breakout rooms. However, in this case, we can move them around since there's only 2 of them. To move a participant from one breakout room to another, hover over their name and click Move To. Then select the room you'd like to move them to. Now that Jerry and Steve are in the same room, we can open the rooms. Click Open All Rooms to open the breakout rooms. On your participants' individual devices, they will get an invitation to join the breakout room. Once they accept, they will be moved to the breakout room. As a host, you can choose to join the breakout room by clicking on the Join button next to the room you'd like to join. In this case, let's join the room with Jerry and Steve. If you'd like to leave the breakout room, you can click Leave Room to leave the room. Make sure to click Leave Breakout Room and not Leave Meeting or End Meeting for all, otherwise you will leave the meeting. If a participant needs help, they can click the Ask for Help button in their breakout room. And as the host, you will see a message of which participant in which room is asking for help. You can then choose to join the breakout room or say later to join the breakout room at a later time. When you're finished with your breakout rooms and are ready to close them, click the Breakout Rooms button again and click Close All Rooms. Participants will then be given 60 seconds to return to the room. They can return sooner than that, but after 60 seconds, all of the rooms will automatically close. And now you have successfully facilitated a breakout room. Now let's create a poll. Click on the Polls button, and then click Add a Question. Zoom will open a window in the browser, and you can create a question for your poll. Type in your question in the Untitled Question field. Then click in the option fields to enter some options. If you'd like to add additional options, click Add Option. You can also change the type of question from single choice to multiple choice by clicking on single choice and selecting multiple choice from the list. This will allow students to choose more than one answer. In this case, I'll leave it as single choice. If you'd like to add another question, you can click Add Question to add another question to your poll. If you'd like to delete a question from your poll, hover over the three dots and select Delete. When you're finished with your poll, click Save. Then return to your Zoom meeting. You will now see that you have a poll in your polling window. Click Launch Polling to launch the poll. As your participants vote, you will see in real time the number of votes they get. When you're finished, click End Polling to end the poll. You can also choose to share the results with your participants by clicking the Share Results button. This will bring up the poll window on your participants' devices, and they will be able to see the results of the poll. When you're finished, click Stop Share Results and close the polling window. When you're finished with your meeting, click End to end the meeting. Then click End Meeting for All. Now let's see how to share a recorded meeting. To view your recorded meetings, back on Canvas under Zoom, click Cloud Recordings. From here, you can see all of the recordings you have. In this case, I only have the one recording that we just did. To view the recording, click on the title of the meeting, and you will be able to see the recording. Click the play button on the thumbnail to view the recording. If you'd like to preview the recording, click the play button to view the recording. If you'd like to trim your recording, click the scissors icon to set the playback range. Then drag the arrows on the left to adjust when your video will start, or the arrows on the right to adjust when your video will end. When you're finished, click Save to save the playback range. Zoom will now only play the clip between those 2 points. If you'd like to download your recording, click Download at the top right of the screen. To share your recording, let's go back to Canvas. Under your class meeting recording, click the Share button. Click the Copy button to copy the recording information. This includes the recording link as well as the passcode information. You can now paste this information in an announcement, in a Canvas inbox message, an email, or somewhere else on Canvas. You have now successfully started and recorded a Zoom meeting and shared the recording. Thanks for watching.